Hey guys, Matt here with catfishtraining.com. Today we're getting ready to go after some flatheads using one of my favorite methods, slip floating. Really effective way of targeting flatheads, especially when you're fishing areas where there's a lot of submerged timbers, large heavy rocks, boulders. It allows you to float your bait up off of the bottom enough that you don't have so much of a problem with getting in a snag every time you put a bait out. And I've seen quite a few posts on Facebook here lately, and actually had a few people ask about the rig that we use for targeting flatheads, so I'm just going to do a real quick video, show you how we tie this thing up. First thing you do, bobber stop on your, this is the main line from my rod. Bobber stops, you can buy them at just about any tackle store. I typically tie my own. The bobbers and the baits we use are fairly large compared to what most people are using the store-bought bobber stops on. So I like to tie them a little heavier duty. Just slip the straw over your line, pull the knot off, grab the two tag ends and pull it tight. And this will allow you to slide this knot up and down your main line to set the depth that you wish to fish at. And then from there we go to a real small bead, and these I actually bought these several years ago in a lot off of eBay. I think it was something like $6 or $7 for about 4,000 of them. So I'll probably be using them for the next 10 years. So we got our bobber stop and a small bead, and this bead just basically will keep your bobber from slipping over the top of your stop knot. When we go on with the bobber, this is a 3-inch fat cat bobber from Wild Wolf Products. There's lots of bobbers that will do the same job, including, you know, a lot of guys like to make their own, which I also make my own. I just happen to have a few of these laying around, so we'll slide our bobber on. And with these heavy bobbers, these have a hard plastic bottom and top with the straw just kind of glued in place. And I've come to find out, if you don't put a small rubber bead on there, just the repeated action of casting can damage the bobber. Smashing up against your weight can damage the bottom of them, and then they start to fall apart. So I usually will slip a small rubber bead on after the bobber, and from there we go ahead and do a weight. And with this size of a bobber and using large baits, I like to use quite a bit of weight. I usually do about 1 ounce per inch of bobber, and this kind of helps hold your bait down and keep them from swimming back over the top of your main line. And from there, I like to put another rubber bead to cushion the knot from your weight. And then we do our swivel. I see a lot of guys doing all sorts of crazy fancy knots. There's not a whole lot of crazy knots I use, just typically a Palomar knot. It's super strong, doesn't slip with braid, and it's a super easy knot to tie. You can pretty well tie it in your sleep, eyes closed. And then from there, I've already got a leader with my hook already pre-tied on. And a lot of times when I'm fishing this type of rig, I like to keep the leader fairly short, primarily just because it keeps the weight a little bit closer to your bait and doesn't give them so much free roam ability. So you just end up with a lot less mess, tangles, and whatnot. I usually like to keep them 6 inches to 12 inches at the most. And again, again, we'll do just a Palomar knot here. That's pretty much it. So you've got your bobber stop, small bead, your bobber. See, there's a piece of glue that already is broken off at the bottom of this one. Bead, your weight, another bead, swivel, and a short leader. A lot of guys also ask how to go about fishing with this type of rig. You know, there's a lot of different things you can do, but typically what I do is I'll find an area that's covered in rocks on the bottom, or shallow weed beds, and sometimes I float these as short as 12 inches with live baits and cut baits, and it's a very effective way to fish, and it's a whole lot of fun. So if you haven't tried it, you definitely got to give this a chance.